biggest fears is being homeless. They can't think of the idea that maybe one day, especially with this economy, they could potentially end up homeless. But being homeless is kind of like a wake-up call, because there's a lot of people just like me living in their cars nowadays, and it's really just to have a life of freedom, because that's more important than material possessions, in my opinion. And it's gotten to the point where the material life that America has created has been so expensive and hard to do basic things that people much rather sleep in their cars than engage and participate in the way that things are going. You know, it is in a sense a sign of boycotting, and it's what America has done till the end of time. When things aren't working for the people, they're going to do something about it.
You know, America is becoming a shithole. Town City, homeless guy. You got a cart outside of McDonald's, another homeless person outside of McDonald's. They closed the Family Dollar because there's too many fucking people stealing fucking ramen noodles. The Burger King's closed. They're redoing all that shit. Look at it. Dump. Fucking dump. This is a major metropolitan city in America. Look at this. I mean, what the fuck is going on? This is just homeless people, fucking trash. Look at it. Dilapidated. Declining fucking nation. Look, you just go to McDonald's, just go to the regular McDonald's. Shopping carts outside. Nuts.
So I'm in Philadelphia, and Philly rents is going extremely high. They expect people to pay rent $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month for a home. Before you even view the home or the property, they're asking for credit scores and checking your credit. But the thing is, there's a lot of fraudulent activities happening with checking credit and all. We have been a victim to scams and credit checks and so forth. And my thing is, how do you find a good place to rent and view without feeling scam? Because everyone wants credit check, everyone wants application fees. But if you have like 20 people applying for the same place, you're not going to get that $50 back. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get the place as well. So what are y'all doing to avoid homelessness this era of events, especially with the market being the market? Credit check for the hood is crazy for me. Like, you hearing gunshot, rat-a-ta-ta, next block, you want a credit check of 800 credit score for a unit that you want to charge $2,000 a month, when there's a lot of crack houses in the same block. That don't make any sense to me. So what y'all doing to avoid homelessness out here?
I've been seeing this dumbass meme floating around again, saying that if you can go up to a car and beg for money, then you can go into an establishment and put in a job application. And for one, I don't think most of y'all realize we are one missed paycheck away from being evicted. I don't know why you keep putting us on a pedestal when we are so close to being homeless ourselves. If you've ever had to move back in with your parents, it's the same thing. You just had someone to fall back on. They didn't. And for two, let's use common sense, okay? Walking up to a car to get a $5 bill is so much different than everything that goes into putting a job application. You have to think about transportation. Most places you need a car. What do you need to have a car? Money. How do you get money? A job. And let's say they do take the bus. Sometimes buses can take hours on end. Thankfully, I've never had to take the bus, but I have enough empathy and understanding to understand that most of us live in a rural area. Buses aren't the most reliable a lot of times. Also, let's think about childcare, getting money for the uniforms, staying hygienic. Let's say hypothetically you do get that job, okay? And you keep going into that job and you aren't able to shower, brush your teeth, do what you need to do. They're going to fire you. And a lot of times when you apply for a job, they expect an address, they expect a phone number, and many times a bank account. Be grateful that most of y'all have never been in this position before. I didn't even mention people with disabilities, mental illnesses. Yeah, I'm sure having a job can definitely help with that mental illness sometimes. But again, you need money. And what do you need in order to get that money? A job. And plus, most places don't even offer insurance. So now you have to wait until you get your first few paychecks before you can even do anything about your mental health, about your disability. And there's so many other factors that I can't even name off that play into this. But most of y'all don't think about that.
35 and homeless. Got a hotel for the night, so I figured this would be a great time to share with you all what I did before I was homeless. So this goes back to college. I was actually just figuring things out, and I was fortunate enough to get an internship with a minor league baseball team. Said internship actually inspired my studies, and I actually got a BS in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism with an emphasis in community recreation and sport management, and segued that into a nice couple of years with an MBA team. It was great. Unfortunately, didn't pay as much as I expected to. And after a couple of years, I accepted a position working special event security and managing security details for Amazon Studios and Amazon Prime Video. Traveling the world, doing all kinds of fun things, and most importantly, protecting our guests and our talent. However, the pandemic hit, and as we all know, that had a very drastic impact, given that my career had been spent in live events. It wasn't too long before I was out. Fortunately, I was able to, not long after that, find a nice pandemic project manager job, which I enjoyed for a little while until June of 2023. For those of you that have been following along, I lost my grandparents in 2023 and chose to get into business for myself. It's been a very hard.
They're not bothering anybody. The homeowner part of me had to fight to say not in my neighborhood because I don't want to be those type of people. And I don't know about y'all, but haven't y'all noticed that coming across homeless people more often in your day-to-day has become so much more numerous than it has been in the past? Because growing up, homeless communities were a little bit further, tended to be in middle cities, inner city, like downtown area, at least in Miami. And that was pretty much it. But the last 3 months, I'm running errands and I just see more homeless people. And it's come to my attention, like, this is not something that is going to be able to be removed from most people because they're running them homeless people out of their normal places. And so these people got to find somewhere to go. And it just makes me realize that it's just such a sad reality that we're going to. And honestly, a lot of us are one paycheck away from being that person. So in my mind, I had to reconcile, like, at least you can't be like that because by the grace of God, you are not unhoused. And I may not be paycheck to paycheck, but I can't live a year without working. I would probably be unhoused. So I think what's going to happen is as time goes by, someone is going to complain. I will not be surprised, and I will not be surprised if I don't see those two people again. But I chose to be humane. Is it ideal for my resale value, for my home value? Probably not. But they weren't bothering anybody. It didn't look too unkempt. I don't really know what to do. But I guess at this point, leave them people alone. They're not bothering anybody. Do I want there to be 20 people there in 2 months? No. But I feel bad, and I'm just trying to offer some grace. But I think the homeless situation is going to get real bad, and it's going to show up in a lot of neighborhoods. And it's going to show up in people's neighborhoods. I said that would never happen in my neighborhood. And a lot of people who live in those neighborhoods may find themselves out in the streets thinking it would never happen to them. So I think we're going to have to, like a lot of issues in America, become more empathetic to people because we're going to see it a lot, and it's going to affect people that we know, care, and love.
You know, it's super mind-boggling to me how much homelessness there is. It's just really crazy to me when I live in this small little city. I mean, it's not Chicago or Los Angeles size by no means. And everywhere you look, there are homeless people. there's a restaurant locally that I go to, and there's a hotel. Well, I think it's a motel that's attached to it. And it's crazy because you see people sleeping in the halls all the time. And I stopped one day and I spoke with this guy. And I asked him, like, what happened? Like, what's your situation? And he's like, I just lost my job. And then when I got a new job, I was staying in a hotel and I wasn't able to get a place. So he's got this dog, and he's always walking with this dog and sleeping in the hallways of this restaurant that's attached to this hotel because there's no cameras there. And it's crazy to me because he's not the only one. The parking lot is filled with people sleeping in cars. There's people sleeping all over the place. And obviously, you know, the internet, there's just this crazy amount of people talking about they're homeless, living in campers, living in campgrounds, living on the streets, under bridges. And I don't really know. I just wish there was something that people could do, because, you know, you think about it, like, we have this federal money and we have state money, but that money runs out, and that's not enough money to help. And even when it is enough money to help some people, it's like you get these people into homes and there's no help after that. So it's like they just expect people to get on their feet, and it's not that simple. And I don't know, it's just breaks my heart. And I wish that there was more that could be done to help people in this situation. Because this motel in general, there's 2 motels right by each other, and it's filled with people who live in these motels because they can't find housing, because the housing is just lack of existence around here. And I just don't understand why this has to be like this. And then it's like, even if you do find a house, you have to have like 3 times the amount of income, which that's not typical for a person to have 3 times the amount of a rental income, when a 2-bedroom rental around where I'm at is, you know, $1,500 a month. You need more than that. It's even more. I see rentals getting posted for $3,000, $4,000 a month, and it's just not sustainable. You know, one loss of your job, one loss of a disability check, one mishap, one need to fix your car, and you're screwed. It's like, come on. We as a society just have to do better. And I don't know what the answer is, but I just think it's mind-boggling. What do you guys think?
Since so many people seem to think that it's impossible to be homeless and have a job, I will tell you a personal story. The most recent time that I lost my housing was this last April, and I had a job, and my husband has a job that he's been working at for, I think, 17 years now. And over that time, his wages are honestly about twice as much as most jobs in the area that we were in, which is why he was able to support both of us in an apartment while I got my master's degree. Now, I graduated in December and I got a job. Now, I applied to hundreds of jobs over the last few months of my degree, and this is the only one I could get. And it was part-time and seasonal. But it was a great job, and I loved every minute of it, and I was excited to get to use my degree. I thought things were going to be looking up, because I had a job. I only made maximum $1,800 a month, though. But with my partner's income, we were looking good, until his youngest son needed to go to daycare. And the mother would not budge on any options, any other possibilities for childcare. She picked the school she wanted, and damn it, he was going to go to that one, and we could just F ourselves. Now, that means that he was able to convince her to put off making him pay for a little while, hoping that we could get our shit together by then. But when that kicks in and he has to start paying, he has to pay another $600 a month at least for that childcare. And that, combined with my dog getting very, very ill a couple months before our lease was up, and it took us months and thousands of dollars just to get the poor boy diagnosed. He has Cushing's disease. So we were looking ahead knowing that he is going to be having to pay that extra $600+ a month soon, and our lease was up. So I spent every penny that I earned at my job on a van, and we moved into the van after the lease was up, which was a nightmare, living in a van with 2 dogs and both of us working. I almost died every day because my husband's job, he had to clock in at 4:30 a.m. My job, I clocked in at 9. he was able to take the dogs in the van to work, and he could check on them every 2 hours or so. And then I would transfer into my truck and sleep for another few hours before I got up and drove myself to work. And we did that every day. Neither of us slept. My dog was still sick. He couldn't stop peeing himself. So even in the few hours of sleep that we got, we weren't really sleeping because he needed to go out. Otherwise, he would pee all over the stuff in our van. But we both continued our jobs, and we worked every day. Nearly died doing it. And then my job ended, and he got transferred to his facility on the other side of the state. So we moved 300 miles. And now I do not have a job, but we have this trailer that we found, luckily, in the campground we were staying in the van. There was a really nice older guy who was selling it for very cheap. So we got the trailer, we brought our happy asses over here, and now we rent a spot to park it. So I'm technically not homeless anymore. I live at the same mailing address I have listed, and our rent for the plot is cheap enough that with my partner working about 10 to 18 hours of overtime every week, we are being able to get everything that we need to survive the winter and take care of my dog, and he's going to be able to kind of save up and prepare for when he has to pay for the childcare. So, tell me, again, why no person with a job would ever be homeless. I got really lucky that my partner has such a high-paying job. Most people don't have that. Like I said, his wages are almost twice as much as other jobs in his area because he's been in the same job at the same company for 17 years. Most people don't have that.
People keep saying just get a job as if I'm not already working. I am a working homeless mother. We are a working homeless family living in a car in a desert in a tourist town that runs on exploitation. It's routine here to use people up and spit them out, and we got caught in it, caught and still trapped. We did Uber and Lyft, but no one told me it was just a side job. I'm autistic. I believed what I was told. I didn't know better. I didn't have help. I still don't have help. I get taken advantage of all the time, and I always take the high road. Right now, I work a slave job. It is an out-of-pocket job that's been bleeding us dry. I got tricked during the pandemic, desperate, sick from food deserts and long-term survival mode. I've been working non-stop, and when people say any job will do, what they don't understand is that those jobs are what broke me. They took everything. I was still recovering from homelessness. I didn't know what that meant. I literally forgot how to eat. We have been eating from restaurants for 6 years now, partial thanks to food deserts and unsafe housing. I need to recover. I need to learn how to live again. As if I haven't already given 34 plus years of labor to this system, starting when I was 11. That was not chores. That was work, child labor, real labor. And the truth is, I am a workaholic. I know how to bust ass. I've done it. That's how I've survived this long. But these jobs, these entry-level, underpaying, soul-splitting jobs, they break me. Every time, every single time. My suicidal ideation goes up, my fibromyalgia flares, my nervous system collapses. I end up calling out, I end up in emotional breakdowns because I can't keep performing in jobs that are beneath what I know, what I see, and who I am, and that destroy people. I don't belong in entry level. I've already done that, I've outgrown it, but I don't know how to move up. I'm capable, but I'm stuck outside the process. Applications confuse me. I cannot sit through online forums built for neurotypical people. I can organize your life from scratch, deep clean your entire home, run a business, care for your grandmother, and create a survival system from a car. But I cannot figure out which checkboxes lead to a livable wage. I spent 8 years in college, no degree. They used me for debt, drained me, and left me with nothing. I didn't know back then that I was neurodivergent. I didn't know about autism, ADHD, PMDD, ARFID. I didn't know why the system kept breaking me, but it did. Now I do know, and I'm not ashamed, and I've had to learn everything the hard way, alone. I raised my kid by myself. I had a few friends here and there, but no family, no backup. So yeah, I'm skilled, I'm brilliant in some areas, but I need help in others, and that should not be a crime. Those 9-to-5 jobs, they turned into nightmares for me, Nightmare on Elm Street level, because I see the patterns, I see the inefficiencies, I see the corruption, and it's all beneath me, not because I'm arrogant, but because I've already done it. I gave everything and it broke me. I've hitchhiked across states. I've lived off grid. I've seen the other side. And when I came back and when I crossed that border back into the US, I said I was going to work the system to make life better for me and the people around me. And all I really wanted, pillows, real pillows, the basics, the things that people take for granted. I've had tastes of beauty. I felt real comfort, and I want to experience more of that while I'm still alive, because none of us knows how long we've got. So don't tell me to get a job. Tell me how to get free, because I've already given this country more labor than it ever gave me back in compensation.